Mornings, we continue to see the waters rising on the Assiniboine River, the Red River as well. And unfortunately, more rain is on the way. This is a live look at the radar right now. We are looking at this wraparound system slow moving, dumping a lot of rain from Saskatoon down in towards Brandon and towards Winnipeg as well. So these are the areas we continue to monitor. We continue to watch. We still see rainfall warnings in place as well. Eastern Saskatchewan in towards Manitoba. Now, this is how much rain we have already seen. So looking at areas south like De Lorraine, 103 millimeters, Brandon looking at 79. Now, Kasia, we know we've received all this rain, but we want to look at what it's actually looking like. I know some campgrounds completely washed out, roads as well. It's terrible out there.
We've been showing some incredible, dramatic photos, unfortunately, that have been coming in from Saskatchewan and Manitoba. And actually, if you go to the weathernetwork.com, we have a display of some of the most dramatic photos. So if you'd like to see more than this today, pseudo long weekend, Rachel.
No, absolutely not, Kasia. The photos of the tents floating and all of your food that you brought for Canada Day, it's unreal. Now, quickly, I want to show you we are seeing a heat warning for much of northern Ontario as well as severe thunderstorm watch for northwestern Ontario. Stay with us here. We're live on the Weather Network. For your case, and now we are left with dark skies, yes, but no longer seeing that active weather in the area. Wet roads, however, and of course, for more on the traffic story, Beat the Traffic, our sister company, you will want to check that out. Rachel Schoutsen here with you, and we're taking a look at our live radar right now. So we are seeing a north-south line, a band of some active weather moving in. When we see those yellows and those dark reds, that's where we're getting into the heavy downpours, possibility of lightning in the area as well. So this will continue to move through Windsor and then heading in towards Ontario. Now, through the 400 series in the Greater Toronto area, I was just flipping through all the traffic cameras, and right now all of those highways are not seeing any active weather at the moment. Now, this is our risk map for today. So as we take a look further to the east, right off the 401, stretching up in towards Ottawa, that's where we could see some severe storms. And then what we were showing you earlier through Windsor, that north-south line through here, that's where we could also see some severe storms bubbling up as well. Now, we have been seeing quite the situation through Manitoba, through Saskatchewan, a very saturated ground. We are seeing lots of flood warnings in place. And then compared with the strong winds, this is where we can get a situation like this. Big trees uprooted, falling onto cars. We are seeing a state of emergency in some areas as well. Now, in towards Ontario, we are still looking at a heat warning on the southern shores of the Hudson Bay, as well as a severe thunderstorm watch for northwestern Ontario. Now, we continue to look at some active weather as well, pushing through northwestern Ontario. We have been seeing the lightning strikes moving through up in towards Kapuskasing. And then this area here, this is where we are looking for more of the severe storms to bubble up. That was issued by Environment Canada to watch closely on that area. Now, this is how the moisture looks like for the afternoon, but stay with us because a cold front approaching for Canada Day. What does that mean? We'll break that down next.
For your mustn't be overlooked.
Having a look at your European vacation off to London, things are looking definitely in your favor. Lots of sunshine, 22 degrees. The rain is holding off. As the Saskatchewan River, we are seeing flood watches and warnings, and unfortunately more rain is to come. Rachel Schoutsen here with you. We're having a look now at how much rain we have already seen. So Virden in towards Brandon, as we're looking at around that 70 to 80 mark. But then as we focus further west, take a look at that 175 millimeters in Saskatchewan. We are seeing the state of emergency that was recently issued for the Yorkton area. So it's a serious situation as the water continues to build in these areas. We are seeing a rainfall warning in place, and that stretches right through the provincial border in towards Manitoba. Now, let me show you where we are seeing those states of emergency. So as of 4 p.m. on Sunday, I'll get out of the way here. We are seeing that from Yorkton through Melville. Those were two recently added, and that stretches again through the international border, not the international border, rather the provincial border and in towards Manitoba. Now, unfortunately, we are seeing the flooding, but the rain is still to come. We are seeing more rain in these areas. So where we are seeing the dark reds, Yorkton, where they are in a state of emergency, 30 to 40 additional millimeters could fall. And as we see thunderstorms, that's where more rain could even fall in these areas, driving up those totals. Now, along with the rain, we've also seen a lot of winds in the area as well. In the darker reds, that means gusting 40 to 60 kilometers per hour, as we are seeing that cold front pushing through here, driving temperatures slightly down. Now, Manitoba is not the only place that was seeing some active weather. Also in towards Ontario, we had some violent thunderstorms roll through Windsor. Done with the area now, but as we see all of that heat, convection, humidity in the air, this is where we could see the potential for some more thunderstorms to develop in the area. So we are seeing this north-south line moving through here. The darker reds and the yellows, that means heavier rains, lightning, thunderstorms could be embedded in those as well. This is our risk for today. So right off the 401, stretching up in towards Ottawa, that's where we could see severe storms. Kasha's here next with a look at social media.
For your quickest.
It's just not a good situation, Rachel. Now, of course, we're taking a look at some of these rainfall totals. This is why we have so much flooding.
Yes, absolutely, Kasha. And unfortunately, with this system, it's very slow moving. It's a wraparound system and more rain is to come. Now, this is what we have already seen. So areas like Brandon, 79, Verdun, 83. I want to draw your attention over in towards Saskatchewan, 175 millimeters. So this is where we are seeing some of the very intense flooding. And right along that provincial border, right through here, this is where we are seeing some of the roads that have been completely washed out in the area. Now, this is a look at the system. This is what's causing all of that flooding and all of that damage. So right now we are looking from Regina down through Brandon and towards Winnipeg. We've been doing the live show now for about 3 hours, I would say, and this has just been very slow to move. It almost looks like the same radar over and over again. We continue to see the rainfall warnings stretching out of Saskatchewan in towards Manitoba. This is the additional rainfall. So through Yorkton, the darker red areas, 30 to 40 millimeters. Yorkton already in a state of emergency. So getting this additional rainfall, it's really going to cause quite a nightmare, quite a mess in the area. Now, this is some of the lightning that we have been seeing through southern Ontario. So where we see those darker yellows, those darker reds, that's where some of the strikes have been. And I want to show you earlier today what Windsor was looking like. We saw those storm clouds in the area. Thanks, Tony, for sending this in. We did see some heavy rains through the Windsor area as well, stretching out in towards Chatham. We had some great photos sent in from Kingsville, just around the Point Pelee area. Now, Kingston stretching up in towards Ottawa. This is where we could see some severe storms. Now, stay with us here at the Weather Network. We're continuing to watch the floods and active weather through Ontario.
For your
In Celeste, heavy rains, that's what we're talking about. Isolated showers, pop-up thunderstorms. That's been a big story through southern Ontario. We saw some intense weather through Windsor. It hit Mississauga a little bit along the 401, along the 400 as well. All popular routes for today. Rachel Schoutsen here with you. This is a live look right now at the radar. So we are seeing this pretty well organized north-south line developing through here. And with the darker reds and the yellows, that means we could see the chance of some lightning in the area. Could be some heavy downpours as well. As we take a closer look in towards the GTA through Toronto, the 400 up and down towards Barrie, looks like we could see some pop-up storms through here as well. Now, this is a look at our risk map throughout the day. Right off the 401, stretching up in towards Ottawa, this is where we could see some severe storms popping up. And then again, down south in towards Windsor. Looks like our Twitter ban's blocking that for a second, but in towards Windsor, again, that's where we could see some of those storms. We have already seen some lightning and thunder through Windsor today. Now, in towards northern Ontario. This is where we are looking at a heat warning on the southern shores of the Hudson. In the humidity, it is hot, but one of our biggest stories here at the Weather Network is in Manitoba and Saskatchewan, where we have seen very saturated grounds, flooding, strong winds as well. It has caused this tree to fall over onto a vehicle. So a state of emergency has been issued for a few areas, Yorkton, Melville included in that. And this right from Environment Canada, this is an update on some of the rainfall totals. Verdun, 137 millimeters. Pearson 124 millimeters, and unfortunately more rain is on its way for these areas. So these are the strong wind gusts. Brandon coming in at 97 kilometers an hour, and unfortunately this system is slow moving, so we can expect this active weather to last for much of the day today, stretching in towards tomorrow as well. So it is very likely that these rainfall warnings will stay in place eastern Saskatchewan in towards Manitoba. Now, you will want to stay with us here at the Weather Network as we continue to follow the rising floodwaters through the prairies, and we're also talking about pop-up thunderstorms through Ontario.